Oh man, welcome to Down in a Hole, a show where we only wear black sweaters. My name is Blaine.
I'm Jono.
And if people like the channel,
please like, share, and subscribe.
I would.
You should.
Yeah. If this video gets 6 hits, 3 of them are me. And that's a guarantee. That was a rhyme. Cut and paste that one. Today.
What are we talking about today, buddy?
We got a segment, like I was thinking of some segment, like not even necessarily like segment names, but just like, it's nice to have little segments. Read news stories, funny stuff.
Yeah.
Music reviews, like we always, music, movies, gear, local events, good pizza stores, whatever. So this thing, I was thinking of something called like Ultimate Badasses. Just crazy stories that you find of like these people. This one entitled The Amazing Survival Story of Mary Vincent. And you haven't heard of this.
I do not believe I have.
Okay, so I came across this story, as everybody would, on the internet. So in 1978, so we're going back a while.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old Mary Vincent, so keep in mind, she's 15. Not even a woman yet, just a girl in high school. She's hitchhiking from Las Vegas to California. Isn't Las Vegas in California?
No,
Nevada.
That's Nevada.
Sorry. Geography there for a second. Sorry. So Las Vegas to California. She got into a van, and a 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton attacked, raped, dismembered the teen before leaving her for dead. Mary Vincent managed to survive the attempted murder to get help from a nearby couple after she received new prosthetic arms for the appendages that Singleton had cut off. Vincent addressed him as her attacker in the courts. So she's 15. Oh, look, it's a white van. Not creepy at all. I was reading through this story, and 15-year-old girl abducted, raped, cuts her fucking arms off, dude, and then threw her down a fucking embankment.
And she survived.
Although convicted, the penal system released Singleton less than a decade later, but not before he tried to sue Vincent for robbery. He's claiming it as like a self-defense. The courts promptly dismissed this unsustained case. Despite Vincent's extensive physical and mental trauma, she testified against Singleton a second time years later. So bring her back. Like, she needs that shit.
Yeah, like she needs to relive it. So what happened then?
After his release from prison, Singleton killed a woman in Florida. In 2001, with the help from Vincent's testimony, Singleton got the death penalty for murder. For that murder. Excuse me, Sprite.
Yeah, I believe in that wholeheartedly.
What, death
the
penalty?
Death penalty.
Yeah, when it's absolutely like heinous shit and you've hurt like multiple people, it's probably. I also like the fact of just watching them rot away in fucking prison in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
That's probably worse. Make those cocksuckers sit in their own shit for fucking 60 years. It would be nice too.
As long as there's no chance for parole.
That's what I mean. That's the thing. Either death penalty or just never let them out. More than a caveat of hitchhiking, Vincent's story illustrates the resilience of a teen who survived torture and stood up against her attacker, because she had a big enough cojones to actually go into court and look at this asshole and testify against him. Vincent grew up in Las Vegas, and her parents worked for casinos. Her mother as a dealer, her father as a machine repairman, not atypical of teenagers. 15-year-old Vincent often skipped school and later took off with her boyfriend. She lived with her beau for a summer in Sausalito, California. Sorry, California. I'm fucking up the pronunciation of that one.
I couldn't tell you.
I almost fucked up the pronunciation of pronunciation. That'd have been ironic.
It's been a long week, ladies and gentlemen, and animals.
Until the authorities apprehended him on rape charges, Vincent returned to Vegas, ran away in 78, headed to California to visit her grandfather in Corona, California. Vincent had spent the summer sleeping in her boyfriend's car, was not hesitant to hitchhike her way across the state. Lawrence Singleton slowed down his van to pick up Mary in Berkeley, California. On the morning of September 29th, 1978, Singleton was a merchant seaman by trade, and upon finding Vincent, told her with a kind smile that he had a daughter who was just about her age. How convenient. He also told her he'd been heading to Reno, but would happily change course and take her to L.A.
If that's not, I mean, it's at 15, you don't know, but like, you got this guy, long trip, A to B, and he's willing to go completely off course.
Yeah, I don't know the difference from Reno to LA, but it sounds Reno, Nevada, and Los Angeles, California. That sounds like a pretty gnarly detour to make.
Yeah.
Okay, his destination was on the outskirts of the city, and she accepted it. She accepted this family man's demeanor. So despite his facade, middle-aged Singleton reportedly had a temper. God, I wish I knew how to read. Let's start that sentence again. Despite his facade, I pronounced facade fine. Middle-aged Singleton reportedly had a temper and was a misogynist. His second wife recently divorced him, and his relationship with his teen daughter was strained as they had fought earlier that year and never reconciled. In the past, he'd been convicted. I've read this article and I still can't remember what I'm reading. He'd been convicted of contributing to the delinquency of a minor and had a history of alcohol abuse. This guy's just wandering, like, Vincent was unaware of Singleton's inability.
Yeah, it's almost like based on all the...
Yeah. Of course he's unaware of his instability. He has a nice smile. He seems like a cool guy. He's going to give you a fucking ride. You wouldn't know he's unstable. Vincent knew something was off, but he calmed her down. Lit up a cigarette shortly after the ride. She sneezed. Singleton reached over, feel her neck, asking if she was sick. Weird. Get your hands off me, bro. Vincent didn't like the physical contact and pulled out of his reach, but soon drifted off to sleep when he didn't try anything further. She even offered to help him carry some laundry at a stop along the way before nodding off, not thinking anything was amiss. When she woke up, she realized that they were way off course and driving back towards Nevada. Scared and angry, she found a sharp stick in the car and pointed it at Singleton. She demanded he turn the van around and take her where she was headed. Singleton... Wow, I can't pronounce that word either. He apologized, reassuring the teen that he was, I'm just an honest man who made a mistake. So he's pretty good. He's good at, so of course she believed that he was remorseful, so she fell for it. His apology. Singleton stopped the van to go to the bathroom, so Vincent got out to stretch her legs. As she leaned down to tie her shoes, Signature struck her by surprise. He beat her across the back of the head, punching her until she fell, forced his penis into her mouth, and told her to perform oral sex or else she would die. He then dragged her back to the van and raped her. He told her not to scream or he'd kill her, to obey him if she wanted to live. He then bound her hands behind her and drove for a while, eventually came to a stop, cut her hands free, ordered her to drink some unknown alcohol from a plastic jug. So, who knows what the fuck was in there. Woozy and confused, Vincent was reportedly raped until she passed out. I've got to scroll down, I got pictures in here. When Vincent regained consciousness, Singleton was still there. He ordered her to lie on the edge of the road, and she pleaded with him just to set her free. And he began saying, you want to be free, he began saying, you want to be free? I'll set you free. As he went to the van to find something, he returned with a hatchet. Mary struggled, as Singleton held her down and cut off her right arm with a fucking hatchet, bro. I read a different article. It didn't explain this much detail.
Yeah, it seems pretty in-depth.
Yeah, she screamed as he moved onto the other arm, severing it right below the elbow. Then he shoved the naked and bleeding girl down an embankment into a culvert. He stuffed her into a concrete pipe and told her, "Okay, now you're free." And he left her there, unconscious and near death. When Vincent regained consciousness, she was in a dire state. Yeah.
Oh, no shit. And I'm glad this motherfucker got the death penalty.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
No, I mean, a different case, but I mean, it's not even worth putting a piece of shit like that in solitary. Take away his breathing.
Yeah, pretty
like
much.
Because
he would just appeal, get out, and do it to somebody else. So at least now we're done with him, right?
There's a documentary like kind of series on Netflix that we're going through right now, and there was a guy that like raped and murdered like young boys, and he was sentenced to death, and 28 years later he's still sitting on death row because of appeals and shit. So
that's fine. If you're sentenced to death, you're not getting out.
Oh,
even
no,
if
God,
you die
no.
in prison, you're gonna die. You're not dying unless you escape. So she was in a dire state. She was at the bottom of a ravine, bleeding profusely, alone and naked. She mustered up enough strength to stand up and walk for 3 fucking miles out of the culvert, which she later found out was the Del Prieto Canyon, wherever Del Prieto Canyon is, obviously in Nevada. She followed the sounds of nearby freeway and raised her arms to keep them from bleeding, or to keep the bleeding to a minimum. So she knew enough to keep them high, right? Keep them above your heart. That's the trick, I guess. How the fuck would you even know enough to... Got out of there with no arms. Both arms are gone. Upon reaching the freeway, the first people who spotted her sped away in fear. A second couple who had been traveling on vacation stopped to help her. They wrapped her up in linens from their car before driving her to a nearby airport. There they called the ambulance. All she could say was that he raped me. Yeah, well, you cut your fucking arms off too. After the attack, 15-year-old Vincent was resilient and provided law enforcement with such a detailed description of her attacker, people immediately knew him from a police sketch. This kid's a badass. Absolute
ultimate
gangster.
Badass.
Yeah, pure gangster style. Like, to go at him with a stick. Like, turn around, asshole. You're going the wrong fucking way. Like, she was ready to stab him. She's only 15. During her recovery, not to mention she crawled out of a canyon with no arms. During her recovery, specialists fit Vincent with prosthetics, and she returned back to school, adapting to her new disability while authorities apprehended Singleton. Vincent testified against him. Singleton insisted that Vincent was a prostitute, claiming he hadn't committed the crime. Even if she was a prostitute, you can't cut somebody's arms off. You can't rape them. You can't throw them in a fucking aqueduct and drive away.
No, unfortunately, though, like there was a period of time where street workers were not looked at. Like they were looked at as like less than scum of the earth.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, and they're still humans.
Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of authority figures thought that
it wasn't worth following up on.
I hate to say this, but and I've heard it in documentaries as well. But it was almost like trash taking out the trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really how prostitution was looked at,
yeah.
40, 50 years ago.
Brutal.
So, yeah, like, a kid goes missing. I mean, that's huge. And people are all over it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Prostitute goes missing. What's for lunch? Was the general, like, how it was looked at.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that whatsoever.
No.
I'm glad that we have improved as a society in that sense. We're still not where we need to be, but
no.
Man, this is fucked.
Yeah. So yeah, he also maintained someone else had been in the car, and Vincent had threatened him with false accusations. Singleton called her a $10 a night whore. Despite everything Singleton said, Vincent stood up in front of the court and pointed one of her hooked prosthetic arms at him. Vincent only refers to Singleton as my attacker, and she declared in a firm voice that he did this to her. Years later, when Florida police arrested Singleton for another crime, Mary unflinchingly testified again. So, like, you bring her back in, and she's no problem. I'm there
she
all day.
at that point, she's like, "Fuck this guy. He's going down,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make sure it happens."
Here's what that piece of shit looks like. After serving only 8 years and 4 months, San Quentin released Singleton because he'd been a model prisoner. The public expressed massive outrage against, against this leniency. The unremorseful prisoner still claimed he was innocent and had never raped or dismembered anybody, or had never raped or dismembered Vincent. Towns in California refused to allow him. Yeah, towns in California refused to allow him to move there, isolating him and making it so that he could not rejoin society as intended. Singleton ended up spending his parole in a trailer on the San Quentin grounds under a curfew and watch of guards. He joined Alcoholics Anonymous and claimed that he was sober. Meanwhile, Vincent remained in hiding.
He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, Singleton felt that he was the victim in the attack against Vincent and decided to sue her. While in jail, he claimed he considered the alleged events to and knew that he was not guilty. He claimed he considered the alleged events and knew that he was not guilty. I don't really understand that. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. But anyway, he said he remembered Vincent threatening to accuse him of rape. That she had brandished a stick at him and decided this was the reason he had become violent. So you're allowed to cut somebody's arms off?
Why is this fucking guy like?
Why do you even allow him to sue her? That sounds insane. Absolutely, but I guess he's entitled to do it. Anyway, maintaining mistreatment from the court. Okay, he filed a complaint suing Vincent for forcible kidnapping and purpose of robbery. He's claiming that a 15-year-old girl kidnapped him. He feigned sympathy for Vincent, claiming he almost vomited 3 times and could not sleep for several nights after filing the lawsuit. This suit never gained any traction. The courts instantly dismissed it. Thank goodness. So at least not everybody's an idiot.
He cut her fucking arms off.
Yeah.
And he's crying because he lost sleep for a week?
Yeah.
What a fucking bitch.
Wow. Mary Vincent was not the only one who feared Singleton. His own daughter, Deborah, spoke at length about the nature of her father and what he was like as a dad. When she found out he was getting out of jail, she also fled and hid, asking law enforcement if there was any way they could keep him behind bars for longer. Considered how he had used his status as a father to lure Mary into his car, it only made sense in her own words. And this is a quote from the daughter. I asked California prison personnel if they what could be done to keep him in jail longer, and I was told there was nothing. Yeah, I mean, it has to go through courts and shit. They suggested I obtain a restraining order at the time of his release. Sorry, but I mean this quite sarcastically. I tell you, he is a danger. I said that before the first crime. I've changed my name multiple times and I'm moving across state lines. And you all suggest a piece of paper that will tell him exactly where I am. Exactly. If she files a restraining order.
And her it's right there.
Wow, she's not an idiot either. Like, just smart. Change your name and fucking leave. All you have is a piece of paper that exactly where I am. So, yeah, what my name is and not to come within, 300 feet of me. Yeah, so she's super sarcastic, but it's true. Like, you're going to change your name, but it's not going to do anything because now he's going to know what you changed your name to. Deborah's concerns were valid as her father continued to commit crimes against women after his release. Finding California less than welcoming, Singleton moved back. Oh, less than welcoming in California. They did good because they didn't want him in certain neighborhoods because of his criminal record. Finding California less than welcoming. Oh, Singleton moved back to his. Yeah, exactly. Singleton moved back to his home state of Florida, where he was arrested in 1990 for petty theft. He was sentenced to 2 years and only served a fraction of the time. In 1997, after his release, he lured a young prostitute by the name of Roxanne Hayes to his home, where he attacked her. Neighbors called the police, hearing some noise. When police arrived, they found Singleton covered in blood with the body of Hayes lying on the floor dead. The mother of the three had been stabbed multiple times in the torso. This time, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to the death penalty. He died in 2001 on death row, finally giving Vincent some sense of closure. However, his earlier release, while serving the sentence of raping and dismembering Vincent, left anger and sadness in those who thought Hayes' murder obviously could have been prevented.
Yeah.
Because they let him go way too fucking early. Mary Vincent was a girl. She wanted to be a dancer. After Singleton's attack, her leg had to be used to reconstruct her arms. This recently ended her childhood dreams of dancing. Years after recovery, Vincent got married and then later divorced. Her trauma had caused her years of stress and depression. Eventually, she became a mother of 2 boys. From there, her life began to change for the better. She began to heal and establish closer relationships with new family, as her new family became her life. Vincent also began to paint, draw, and sketch. Art has brought her joy as well as new direction in life. Some of her works are valued at over $2,000.
Art's important, whether it be,
Yep.
painting.
She is happy.
Music.
She has mostly moved past the label cast on her while Singleton was still alive, as she puts it. Most people know me because of who I am, not just what happened to me. They just assume I was born this way. Yeah, you would if you had no arms. But anyway, that's the story of Mary Singleton and how gnarly.
Ultimate badass.
Yeah, there was a picture of her, but like just a crazy story, unbelievable. I mean, there's so much of this stupid shit too, eh? But some of these things just pop in. There was a picture, see there, of her with her arms, like 2 hooks. We don't need to see that, asshole. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's cut your fucking arms off. Like, at least he got the death penalty. And it's too bad that they had to let him out and he had to kill somebody else. Or she should have died.
I feel like just that's such a recurring theme in
law enforcement.
Yeah, especially with all the crazy documentaries and stuff that are out there now. Whether you're watching Netflix, Amazon Prime, Crave, whatever.
Tons.
This type of shit was way too prevalent. Like,
it's gnarly, man. Like, and it's all in that pattern of like it's written down here. This is how we have to do it.
I would have been thinking like, where's Dexter Morgan when you need him?
That's it, man. Where's the Boondock Saints?
Yep.
Where's the Boondock Saints and Dexter Morgan
together?
It's like a tag team.
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
But it's 3 of them.
Trio.
Tag teams can be 3 guys.
Trios.
Like the Legion of Doom. I don't know what we'd call them. Probably just call them the Boondock Saints. That's a cool name. How come Dexter can't just join the Boondock Saints? And they just go boondocking all over the fucking place.
Well,
wrapping up motherfuckers. Like, they find out this guy raped this girl, threw her in a ravine after cutting her arms off. They just go take care of him. And then that poor lady in Florida with the 2 kids, she'd have been fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes down in a hole's not fun. But sometimes there's astonishing stories of survival.
And we want to...
And some amazing stories that are definitely in this world that we have to talk to and talk about.
Yeah.
Talk to you about.
Get it out there and start a discussion.
That's it, man. My name is Blaine.
I'm Jono.
That is Jono. This is...
Down in a Hole.
What should you do?
Like, share, and subscribe.
I would. I edit it, though. I have to watch every one of these shows like 6 times. And let me tell you, they're entertaining after multiple views. So next time, yeah, buddy. Oh, somebody's on the Xbox. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time when we talk about whatever we want to talk about, because this to us is therapy. And we do what we want. Because 2002, man, you can't tell us what to do. Hope you enjoyed the story. Mary Vincent, if you look her up on the internet, you can read more about it. And that's all I got to say. You good?
Good.
He's good.